Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mac, and I have my friend Seth Lee Jones here. Thanks for being on the show, Seth.
Absolutely.
So Seth has been on the show before. In fact, you were one of our first episodes with Homer, and we thank you again for being on one more time.
Yeah.
And if everybody doesn't know who Seth Lee Jones is, I invite you to go onto Instagram, Facebook. Where else are you?
SLJ Guitars Instagram. The Facebook is my full name. The YouTube stuff is my full name. There's not a whole lot on YouTube. There's some live shows, a couple of lessons. I'm trying to build that up.
All right.
A little bit at a time.
And you're also on Spotify, all streaming platforms. Bandcamp is the way to go to get merch, maybe?
Yeah, I even got a TikTok now.
You even got a TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, man, awesome. All right, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've seen you, brother.
You know, you gotta have a TikTok for the kids.
For the kids. Yeah, those people our age doom scrolling through it all night, watching your videos.
I feel so dumb.
It's so dumb. That's hilarious.
I don't understand.
All right, well, let's talk about the album for a minute. So you had a new album release, and unfortunately I missed the party because I was headed to Scotland. So I was going to Scotland the first time. So yeah, we were heading out like the next day or something. Yeah. So my wife and I were like, oh, not going to make that party, but I heard it was good. I heard you had a good time.
It went really well, yeah.
So let's start off with who's on the album, because I did hear some harmonica at some point, I thought. So we might want to give a nod to that person.
Yeah, Shawn Tiger.
Okay, Shawn Tiger. All right, so doing the harmonica.
Shawn
was he doing
Tiger,
guitars? Or
he just did the harmonica section on Good Dog. Man, I firmly believe that him and Mike Sadowake are that band that they have. That's the best blues band in Oklahoma, hands down. And I don't really consider myself a blues band in the purest sense of the way, because if you look at that record on it is a King's X tune, and that is not a blues tune.
Right. Rock.
I mean,
rock style.
Bird of Paradise is not a blues tune. That's
Which I love that
vein
song.
of like rockabilly or country.
Right.
And it's actually a little Jimmy Dickens tune, which is definitely country. So I mean,
so you had Matt Teagarden, I guess, on there.
Matt Teagarden was the drums. His dad, David Teagarden Sr., did some percussion stuff on there.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Bill Hoffer played bass. He played one of Carl Radle's basses for the whole session. It was a 1965 P bass that's now at the OK Pop Museum.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
I love that they curated that, but I also am a little sad that it's going to be in a box and never see the light of day as far as music being played on it is concerned.
Right.
But yeah, they got to have stuff to put on the wall, I guess.
Right.
So
So those are the cats on it. About 5 people, total. Maybe 3 of you, 2 other guests, right? Mm-hmm. And for those of you who didn't see the other episode, Mr. Teagarden, I've already interviewed him. There's a thumbnail here, and also I have a bunch of Tiger and Mike. So I'll put that here. They can check that out too. So I've got a bunch of them on my channel. Love watching those guys play and come out. And so now in the song selection, you were telling me off camera earlier that not all the songs are covers, and some are. So let's talk about the ones that are not covers, the originals. So are they just stuff you've had in the bag for years at the time, or are they kind of just brand new for the album? How'd that work with the originals?
I wrote those for the album.
For the album, okay.
I think I spent probably 6 or 7 months getting those tunes dimed in for the record. And, like anything we do, it evolves a little bit over time. So we do them pretty close to the record. There's some things that are a little different now. But, there's 9 tunes on it, I think, and 3 of them are covers. I can't for the life of me remember what the other one is.
So you have a King's X.
There's King's X, Little Jimmy Dickens, and one other one. I can't.
And I don't have my cell phone on me because it's my camera, so I have to look it up. But okay, but anyways, you chose King's X for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Why was that?
I mean, that all growing up, I've listened to every one of their records. I've met them a handful of times. Doug Pennick's my favorite vocalist of all time. I spent quite a bit of work with learning Ty Tabor licks when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. I've seen those guys a handful of times. They're just one of the influences that's followed me since I was a little kid. I mean, we've probably been putting that stuff in my ears since the late '80s.
Right.
My parents were into them, so I learned about Dogman when it came out in 1993.
Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, all those. Out of the Silent Planet, I think. Those are the first ones I listened to.
I believe that that one that we did is on Ear Candy.
Okay.
Mr. Evil. And it just kind of dawned on me. I go through and re-listen to those records from time to time in the shop because doing what I do is kind of a solitary job. I do it from home. I don't have a brick and mortar anymore because that it's counterproductive when you're doing major resto or manufacturing multiple parts. You don't want people walking in on you while you're doing that.
Right.
So I quit doing the retail storefront thing a long time ago, and I'm quite happy not doing that anymore. But went through Ear Candy again and listened to that, and there's the solo section in that's done on a National guitar, and I was like, I think I can do that. So it turns out it fits really well for open C.
So this guitar, can you do it on this guitar that played, or you need the other?
I actually don't have one set up for that right now. The one I did it on that record actually got rid of.
Oh, okay, right. Now, when you go out, and we'll take a little sidebar here for a second. Seth plays in a lot of open tunings now, and you have been, I think, for a while. Because last year I interviewed you, you said I don't even think you played in standard tuning at the time last year.
I
played a little bit now.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, not that you can't. It's just that you choose not to more often.
We did 2 songs on the last record, Flathead.
Flathead was 2. Yeah. But in the last year or so, if you're playing out, you're basically not.
I can do a whole set in standard now.
Right.
But yeah, since 2010 to I don't know, maybe about 4 years ago, I didn't play any standard tune guitar. I started playing in 1996. Obviously, started in standard, but I've always had a lap steel. Started on that at the same time I started on guitar, and that was in open D. So it's always been there. I just really focused on it when I moved back.
Right.
I started playing for a country outfit and had these benders on here and was faking some pedal steel licks and kind of exploring that avenue.
Yeah, man, that's great. And I did show it on the other video, but just hold that, give it a little light to it right here. So you got the benders and everything going on through here. In case somebody missed the other video, you can see a little review. And they're kind of curved to the. Oh, hey, buddy. Want to grab him for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Oh, yeah, you got me. So they're kind of contoured to the curve of your hand. So the curve of the hand just goes right over the benders. So you're able to just comfortably, right, just get these in there. So which strings are you doing again on there?
A, G, and B.
Which, technically, are they actually tuned to the head? No, right. That's just for those of us who are used to standard tuning.
Right.
You're being nice to us.
Actually,
but it's just
A,
your second
F sharp, and A.
So second, fourth, and, oh wait, what is it? Second, Wait, 1, 2. So okay, so second, third.
Depends on which way you're counting.
Yeah, which way you're counting. Coming from the bottom, from the high string up.
Second, third.
Second, third, and fifth. Yeah. All right. So that's to replicate the pedal steel type stuff, right?
Well, the bottom triad, yes.
Yeah.
So this actually happened by accident. Is that I wanted to get one of those benders like Brad Paisley uses, the McVeigh.
Yes.
But they were so expensive at the time. I had just gotten out of school for this, and I didn't have the bread to buy one of those. It was right whenever the Guitar Player magazine Brad Paisley write-up came, which coincidentally was Keeley's big breakout moment with the compressor that he had at the time.
Oh, really?
The first iteration of the Keeley compressor.
Wow. Okay.
That really was what put him on the path for success. Was that Guitar Player article, which is a story for another time.
Yeah.
But I got this hip shot and put this telly together, and the first neck that I built for it, because this is like the 5th neck that I built for this guitar. This body I've had in this iteration since 2006 when I built it. But first neck that I built for it, I built it in Venice Beach where it was real humid, and I lived in the valley, which was dry in the summer. Got back to my house, put the guitar together, the neck was back to tried heat setting it, nothing I could do to get the pull forward. I was like, well, I'll just build another neck for it. But in the meantime, I'll just put these giant lap steel strings that I use on it and tune it to open D. And when I picked it up, I realized in quick order that when you depress these two bars, that bottom triad goes from a 1 to a 4.
Nice.
And just like the light bulb turned on. Oh, this is cool. So it took me another 15 years to really, capitalize on that.
And you're known for this guitar, the trusty, crusty, whatever you want to call it. So
yeah.
Everybody around town, if we're out driving by and we hear the window open at the county last year, Nate and I, oh, Seth's playing. Yeah. And then we come in and look through the window and we see you playing this thing. We're like, yeah. So you're kind of known for it around town.
The amount of cheese that's on the front of this thing.
It's so cool.
You guys at the custom shop can't relic that shit, right?
No, they can't, man. Mine's a relic. Mine's a custom relic, and it doesn't look like this.
No, they have to.
Great. I love it.
They just
it's awesome.
Put some sort of putty or something. I don't know. I don't know how you can fake that. It's just that's 17 years of bar goo.
That's hilarious, man. All right, so did you use this a lot on the album then, or not?
Yeah? Most of the album is this guitar. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how it's always going to be. This is my main thing since I built it. But I also used 69 345, which I still have over there. I borrowed a 61 Stratocaster Sunburst from Larry Schaefer. I used 64 Silvertone, which is over there. It has a neck that I built for it. And then the ballad that's on there, Don't Waste a Thing, I used that 61 Silvertone U1 over there. 1304, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, those were the guitars I used on it. And I used a Mulecaster on Mr. Eaton.
Oh, gotcha. So that's what that was. I was going to ask you about that eventually, because that's something you've had a connection with for a while now, right?
Oh, yeah.
All
a great builder out of Michigan.
Saginaw, right?
Saginaw, Michigan.
I follow him on Instagram, and oh man, he's always driving around in his van during the summer and stuff. And
man, his new model, the Mavis, man, I gotta get on the list for one of those. That's cool. I played it when it was still in the prototype stages before he had released it to the public. Man, this is
now who are we talking about?
Matt Ike, Mule Resonator Guitars.
Yeah, and they've come a long way, I think, through the years. So I saw that's how I got into Joey Lander because of you.
Yeah. And I saw that video of Joey.
Really?
When he was making those, him and his brother, out of a rental house in downtown Saginaw. It was like the scariest basement I've ever seen. These guys were soldering these things together in what looked like a dungeon. This house that was built in the 20s during the industrial boom in Saginaw. And they've come a long way. He's got the team of guys that work for him and a very successful business model.
They are definitely artwork. The aesthetic quality alone on some of those, I just see the pictures online, I just started zooming in on them and stuff because I mean they just look pretty amazing. Some of the quality on that. So so that's you used on the Mr. Evil then.
Yeah.
You get some of those tones. Now I'm trying to think. Did you layer a bunch at all at any of the albums? Did you punch in a little bit and overdub stuff?
Of course, the stereo rig. There's no overdubs in the record.
Okay.
There's one. There's no like punch-ins.
Okay.
The only overdub is on Mr. Was it Uncle Walter? I did the solo section is 61 Strat. That's an overdub over the rhythm track. But nothing else is punched in or overdub. What we did do is I recorded stereo, so we've got the 2 amps, and then for I think 4 of the tracks, it's like Mr. Evil and 110 and a couple of the other ones, we actually had they captured my signal before it hit the amp into this little black box that does whatever it does, which allowed Brett, the engineer, to reamp. So they could take the signal off my board and put it into an amplifier after the fact at the same gain level that it's coming off the board at, and put it into the amp in real time. So we did the reamp into a 1993 Tone King head, 100-watt head with the 412 cabinet. And we had one of those Fright or Freet or whatever attenuators on that was just kicking it back a little bit so we weren't blowing the treatment off the walls in there because that amp's capable of it. But yeah, that's how we were able to thicken up some of those tracks with just an added color.
So what I find interesting about this part of the conversation is that some bands out there have a CD sound, as we used to call it in the day. They have an album sound, right? And that's fine. And I'm all for, like, you name it. Clapton, for example, you go see him live, he does a little different version than the recorded version. That's fine. But I gotta encourage a lot of people, if they have a chance to come see you, when you guys are out there just doing your thing, wherever it is here in town, live, you guys pretty much sound exactly like that, like the album. Because the stuff you were using when you recorded it, the guitars, the effects, the amps, you're basically using that same type of rig.
Yeah.
And I've seen you around town. So kudos to you, because there's no disconnect between like listening to your CD and then being disappointed when I go see you, like, oh, he doesn't sound like the CD. We've all been there. You know?
I mean, if anything, so we go out and try to avoid the warranty.
Yeah, if anything, you guys are pushing it.
I try to go out and snap the neck off this thing.
So if Seth ever asked to borrow your amp, I would think twice.
I would. I would think twice. Yeah.
There's a bowl of what? Earplugs.
Well, yeah, it used to be.
In some of the places.
I mean, the supers. There's a reason I've got a stack of amps back there.
Right.
Tube amps are like old cars, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not into working on them a little bit every now and then, don't get one.
Right.
Because if you're running them at the plate voltage they should be running at, with the amount of heat that's going on, a set of tubes really is going to last you between 9 months and 15 months, depending on how hard you knock them around.
Right.
I've got one amp that's under this cover over here that it runs so hot. It's a 53 super amp with 210s. If I run it every day, I'll blow up a set of tubes in 3 months. It sounds glorious. It's one of my favorite amps of all time. And I bring it out for sessions and stuff like that, or one-off gigs. I just don't play it every day because I know if I do, I'll eat up a set of tubes in 3 months.
Right.
So
you just pull it out for the shows, maybe, or something.
I just special occasions, sessions, shows that I want to bring it to.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, tube amps are definitely finicky and they require some amount of service from time to time. I mean, I'm sure the Tone King is probably an exception to that rule as a modern make. But any of these vintage amps that I run, which is most of the collection, they're going to require service.
Right.
You got something that's 50 plus years old. I mean, even that deluxe reverb that's from '81, I've had to take it in to have tubes done on it once since I've owned it.
So your sound, though, if somebody's listening on Spotify or whatever, and then they come out to see you, though, I mean, I just want to encourage people to come out and check you out, man. Because if anything, it's better live just because you're hearing the wattage and the push of the air, and you're getting real amps with Seth just giving it his all the time. And I love that about you. So do a lot of people around town. We love the fact that you just, every time you play, whether there's 5 of us sitting there or there's 500, you're giving it your all, you know, and that's awesome because when people do come out, there might be a couple, but we really just want to see the honesty of an artist.
Yeah.
And so you give that, and so kudos to you. And I hear it through the album. So like when Naynad and myself and other people, Homer and everybody around town are listening to even your albums, we're like, that's Seth right there. They're capturing that live feel. But now, go out, go see him live. And if you see him out live and you've never saw him before, tell him you saw him on the show, man. Give him a shout out. But so back to like playing live again. Do you have any thing for the winter time lined up? Because I know everything kind of dies down in the winter.
I don't. My plan is actually to take a break.
Okay. You've been busy for a while now.
I've let my weekly lapse. I've decided to not do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's a big drain on you, dragging stuff out of the house every week. And I've had a weekly or 3, because at one time I had 3 weeklies.
Right.
I've had a weekly or 3 in this town for the last 13 years. So I'm taking a break over the winter. I'm going to play, here in town and some select gigs, but no more weekly, so that I can write this next record and finish writing. I've got it basically 60% in the bag. There's a music stand full of stuff over there that I'm still writing out and kind of getting the pieces to fit all together. So.
And as we're wrapping up, you were saying you got more music kind of ready for another album prepared. And as you're writing, do you test them? A lot of musicians will test them songs out in public.
Oh yeah.
You do that with all your songs that are originals, basically. You go try them out there and see how it vibes, and before you get into the studio.
I mean, you want to make sure that you got all your players on the same page.
Yeah.
Like I work with another guy that he'll just send us, tracked out ideas that are digital format or paperwork on them, and we'll get together in the studio and do it, and it works. We'll take 6, 8, 10 runs at a song and keep the best one, or polish together one that we really like.
Yeah.
And that's great if you're doing something that's a one-off. I think the last record we did was 3 years ago or something. But I have this mindset where I want to have the material bang on, so we go and hit it 3 times and move on. Go into the studio, hit it 3 times, and keep it. And I'm not going to spend 10 years working on a record.
Like Steely Dan back in the day.
I don't have the patience or the attention span for that. And I've got shit to do.
You're busy. And it costs money too, right?
It costs money
in the studio.
It's not free to go in there and do that.
I love it.
So far, these last 2 records, the first one, or the second one we did in 7 hours, 7.5 hours, like basically 8. This last one we did in 12.
Wow.
And I don't think that we'll spend more than maybe 15 on the next.
But that also attests to the way you play and how much you play and the sounds that you're having in your head and your heart, and you want to hear a certain thing, they come out because of how much you play. And the players you're playing with, you play with all the time. Yeah. So it makes sense to me that you can go to a studio and just go get this done. Yeah. And not willy-nilly about every little thing and wiggly about this, and you just kind of go in, here's what I want, I already know how to do it, let's just capture it. Right?
Sure. That's probably if somebody else is paying for it, I might spend a little more time, but
somebody out there might pay for it.
Yeah,
Speaking on that note, are you available for any sessions work? Because I have run into the occasional person that you showed up. There was a guy at the Colony last year, he was freaking out because he loves listening to you and he was in town.
Right.
And you happen to be able to just jump in or something, and so are you available?
It depends on what it is.
Okay.
There's some stuff I just don't want to do. Man, to be honest, I've been on more rap records than anything else I've ever done.
That's interesting.
Because I was in with guys that were cutting that stuff in L.A. when I lived there for 10 years. And
whatever.
They'd pay me $120 a track to come in and put wah-wah trucks on stuff.
That's great. I love it.
The money was good, but I don't want to do that for a living. You know what I mean? So it just kind of depends on what it is. If it's a cool project, then I'm definitely available to do session work.
That's great.
But if it's like Kids Bop or something, no, I don't want to do it.
You don't want to be a Swiftie repeat kind of thing?
No, I don't want to do the backtrackings for the next Smurf movie or whatever.
I love it. On that note, that's great. So everybody get on to Spotify and whatever streaming platform you're on, your stuff's on all of it. Get on to Bandcamp is what I like to push. Bandcamp, Horton Records. Horton Records, get on there. Them guys are great. And all the work that they've been doing even around town. And so find that stuff. If you're in town, go down to Guitar House in Tulsa, go see Drew and them. Sometimes they have one of your guitars there. And if you're looking for a new guitar, looking for a custom piece that you're interested in. Find service. Yeah, if you want restorations on what's some of the favorite stuff you've had come through lately? Some Gibsons maybe, or what have you had come through?
We had a 61 Strat we did frets on recently.
Cool.
Man, I did, oddly enough, one of my favorite refrets of this year was a 1996 PV EVH Gold Top. It was the arch top version, and it was just a smoking guitar. The fret job was hard on it. They don't have hardly any finish on the neck, and you wanted to dodge it to make it look factory. Wow. But man, it was such a neat guitar. Those first 4 years of EVHs are just killer.
So if you guys need some restoration and stuff, reach out to Seth. And the best way to get a hold of you again is what, through Instagram maybe?
Instagram, Facebook. The website's going to get to my Gmail account. Any of those is fine. Or, you can always call the Guitar House of Tulsa. They've got my contact info.
Yeah, come see Drew.
I do a lot of work for them. My cards are on the desk there.
Awesome. I love it. And so if you have any questions or anything, just leave a comment. I'll forward it over to Seth, and we'll check it out. And Seth, I just want to say thanks for being on the show again, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it, man. And if you want, could you just play us out for a little bit, man?